Have you ever wondered what separates a thriving coaching business against those that do not succeed? It's a lot of different things, but it starts with having a plan. But not only having that plan, but executing against that plan and having the ability and humility to adjust fire when that plan isn't working as you planned. So today what we're going to talk about is business plans. So we'll discuss the importance of business plans, and more importantly, we're going to lay out how you can build a simple business plan that you can begin to execute against today. When I first opened my very first gym, I think I got lucky. I had a pretty decent ability to connect with people. I had a decent ability to give people kind of what I thought they needed. And by the time I got to facilities 2, 3, 4, and then eventually 5, and I kind of used that same play where it's like, hey, I'm gonna just rely on my ability to give a good service. I'm gonna rely on my ability to build great relationships. I started to see that as I opened up 2, 3, 4, and 5, having a successful business in this industry was a lot more challenging. And I realized really quickly, it's because I didn't have a plan. And this is where I started this journey of, okay, what does it look like to actually take a step back and build a business plan? And initially I fell into the trap of, okay, this is what Google says, or this is what this mentor says that a business plan should be. So I'm just gonna take this template, I'm gonna sit down for an afternoon, I'm gonna write this business plan out, and then I'm gonna file it away, and then I'm gonna go and do the same things that I was doing that led me to where I was. But I quickly realized that a good business plan is one that is A, well thought out. Doesn't mean you have to take 3 years to plan it out, but you at least thought it out. B, it's something that you resonate with. You really spend some time and energy and some effort putting that thing together, so the things on that piece of paper or on that computer screen actually resonate with you and your purpose, so on and so forth. And number 3, one that you're actually able to execute against. In 2020, we redesigned the whole process of putting business plans together for fitness coaches. And we did this with those previous pieces in mind. What are the important things for coaches to consider? How do we actually make coaches sit down and think about what are the things that truly resonate with them, and how do we give them a way forward to execute against that business plan? So the very first section of this business plan structure was your company description. Okay, so this is your company, who you are and why you exist. Okay, so the very first subsection in the company description is the PVMVP, or the purpose, vision, mission, values, and principles. So let's start with purpose. Okay, so purpose is, why do you exist? Why do you do what you do? What's going to get you out of bed every single day? Okay, the next piece is vision. What is your vision? Far, far, far down the road, okay? You're probably never going to reach this vision, but it's the thing that you're striving for every single day. Next is your mission. Okay, so where do you want to do, or what are the things you want to accomplish over the next few years? Okay, so usually this is 3 to 5 years out, but hey, let's make this even more short term. And the next 1 to 2 years, what do you want to accomplish? How much revenue do you want to bring in? How much profit do you want to turn? How many clients do you want to impact and coach? How many coaches do you want underneath you? So all of those things. This next piece, we start to get even more personal. So now we start to look at your values as a coach. A little bit uncomfortable for some people, but I'm telling you, it is so important to actually take a step back and really think about, what do you truly believe in? What are your values? And this is gonna inform everything that you do in your business. Okay, so spend some time and really lay out those values. And then finally, we have your principles. Okay, so this is going to be, how do you work on a daily basis, and your principles are going to be informed by your values. Next, in the company description, we have your target market. Okay, so this is just broad target market. Don't get into the weeds, we'll do that later in the marketing section, but who do you enjoy coaching, and who enjoys your coaching? Okay, that piece is also important. So broadly, who is your target market? Male, female, 30 years old, 20 years old, 50 years old? Do they make 50K a year, 150K a year? So just lay those things out generally. Next, you have to look at your industry and your competitors. Who are you actually competing against? Just brainstorm, just write this stuff down on a piece of paper. I'm competing with the gym across the street. I'm competing with the commercial gym 3 miles down the road. Just really think about who your competitors are and who you're competing directly against. What could help you is look back at that target market and think about where are your target market going? Who are they looking to fulfill the services that you offer now? So that would be the industry and your competitors. And then finally, look at your corporate structure, okay? Don't freak out if you're just a sole proprietor and you're spinning this thing up all by yourself, okay? Just look at your corporate structure. Is it you at the top? Are you the CEO? What decisions are you making? What decisions are you not making? What are you going to outsource? Do you have an accountant? Do you have other legal counsel? Really lay that out and understand what your corporate structure is specifically. All right, the next section of the business plan is going to be your marketing plan. The very first thing you need to do is you need to do some market research. Okay, so this kind of aligns nicely with your target market, industry, and competitors, but really go out there and do market research. How are your competitors marketing their services? Not that you have to mimic them, but just understand what they're doing. All right, next, just do a simple SWOT analysis. Okay, so what does SWOT stand for? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your opportunities? And what are your threats? Okay, they kind of speak for themselves. What do you do really, really well in your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Okay, it's really important to understand your strengths and understand your weaknesses because it gives you the ability to start to think about how do I leverage my strengths more specifically? What are my weaknesses and how am I going to fill those? Or do I even need to fill those, or am I going to outsource? For example, if a weakness of yours is reconciling your books at the end of the month, do you spend 3 months strengthening that, or do you outsource and bring on an accountant? I can't answer that for you, but you have to answer that for yourself. So understand your strengths, understand your weaknesses, understand your opportunities. What is your unique service offering? What are you providing? There might be an opportunity in your market to really leverage that, to really market that. Okay, so opportunities could be plentiful. It could be the target market that you're going against. It could be your service offering, and maybe you bring some uniqueness there, but really look at your opportunities and opportunities in the market for you. And then finally, look at your threats. Okay, so what are threats? What happens if there's an economic downturn? What do you do? What happens if you lose 50% of your client load when you wake up one day? What do you do? Is the gym across the street, are they a real threat, and why? How do you cover up or fill the need on that threat, so when it does happen, or when they do push forward and try to take 50% of your client base, how do you fight against that and it doesn't close your business down? Next piece, get really specific in your target market. So we already laid out generally what does that target market look like, but now you're getting really, really specific. Okay, so we already talked about demographics. We already talked about salary, how much money do they make. Get even more specific. What do they do for a living? Do they have kids? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What is their struggle? What is the problem that you're solving for that very specific target market? Next one would be values and USPs. Okay, so what makes you unique? Okay, what is your unique sales proposition? Really think about this, because this is really, really important in marketing. Okay, it's tough to market something that's not good. It's a lot easier to market something that the market actually wants and that they can really benefit from. So it'll be really important for you to really sit down and lay out what are those USPs very specifically, and then it gives you something tangible, something specific to actually market against. And then we have funnel. So I won't get too specific here, but just really lay out how your clients or your potential clients or leads come in and how you bring them down or push them down that funnel. So just think about this. You bring someone in and they're an absolute stranger. They gain awareness of you, okay? How do you turn that stranger into a lead, okay? How do you turn that lead into a prospect? How do you turn that prospect into a customer? And then once they're a customer, what happens now? And then the last two pieces are going to be, what is your overall or overarching marketing strategy, and what is your pricing? Okay, so you need to have a strategy looking at that entire marketing plan. How are you going to go and execute that thing? Is it going to be, boots on the ground? Are you going to go to farmers markets and grocery stores and all of that stuff and let people know who you are and what you do? So really think about what it is. Is it going to be social media? Is it going to be paid advertising? Just really think about what your marketing strategy is. How are you going to build awareness around what you do and eventually acquire new clients? And then finally, how are you going to price yourself? Okay, so think about who you are, think about what you do, think about what your competitors are charging, think about those USPs, and think about what your target market might be willing to pay. All right, now we have to build our operational plan. So number one, just think about what your management structure is. And we kind of did this in corporate structure, but you're just gonna get more specific here. Okay, so if it's you and 3 coaches, what role are you going to play, and what role are your 3 coaches underneath you going to play? If it's just you, what role are you going to play? And I know that sounds a little bit weird because it's just you, but remember, you can outsource things like we talked about. Are you going to be an accountant? Are you gonna clean your facility? Are you going to restock your shelves? Are you going to be the person that's following up with people on billing? All of those things. So think about what needs to happen inside of your business and then assign who's going to do that. Next piece is going to be pretty unique to you in your situation, but just think about if anything were to ever happen legally with you, how will you handle that? So just make sure you have, a lawyer. Okay, so just to put it really bluntly, these next 2 pieces kind of go hand in hand, and those are going to be your SOPs, or your standard operating procedures, as well as your service blueprint. Okay, so SOPs: how do you run your business? How do you coach your clients? How do you consult with your clients? How do you build programs for your clients? When do you build programs for your clients? How do you communicate with your clients? Do your clients send you messages through CoachRx? Do your clients send you text messages and emails? Just really lay that out in your SOPs. Okay, then we move into a service blueprint. Really lay that out for your client. What does it look like for every single client to go through an onboarding procedure with you? Okay, what does it look like for every single client to get program design? Where do they get that? How do they get that? How are they delivered in terms of communication? Are you consulting with them? If you are consulting with them, how do they book? How do they book on your calendar? Are you doing that on Zoom? Are you doing that in person? We can go on and on and on, but just lay out what that service blueprint is. All right, now we get to the uncomfortable part for a lot of coaches, and this is your financial plan. Okay, so the very first thing you need to do, especially if you're a new coach, but namely if you're a new coach and you're just spinning up a business, you need to think of how are you going to capitalize this business, and what is your startup plan. Okay, so something that we love to talk about is what is your runway. Okay, so what is a runway? If I were to bring in not another dollar for the next 90 days, 60 days, 6 months, whatever the case is, could I still survive? Will my business still be in existence? So your runway is that. It's what's your runway of cash to keep the business going if things don't go as planned. Okay, so think about what your runway is and think about how you're going to capitalize this thing. All right, these next 2 pieces, these are going to be your projected 12-month profit and loss statement, as well as your break-even analysis. Okay, so when we look at a P&L, what does that mean? It just means that we have a bunch of expenses that are going out, and we have hopefully a bunch of revenue that is coming in. Forecast and project that over the next 12 months. Okay, a forecast is only a guess, I completely get it, but when you forecast, do that in the most educated way that you can. How many clients do you expect to come in? How much is each one of those clients paying? How many paid in fulls do you expect? So on and so forth. And then off of that, what is your break-even analysis? Okay, so what does that mean? Okay, so if my capitalization costs were $50,000, how long is it going to take me to bring in $50,000 in not revenue, but profit? Okay, so that would be break even for me. So that's it for today. Appreciate you guys taking the time and kind of listening to me ramble on business plans, but I hope it at least opened your brain to having a plan is so important, and executing against that plan is even more important, because a plan without execution is just an idea.